Hey guys, welcome back to Sports Tea. I'm really excited to discuss the women's Team USA win over France, where they continue their dominance as the best team in the world with their eighth straight gold medal. I'm also going to give each player a grade tonight based on how they played throughout the Olympic Games. I have a few sound bites to explore with you guys as well, but before we get into it, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section as well. So, to get started, I want to begin by saying that the media barely covered the women's gold medal game. Unbelievable. Everything this weekend has just been about LeBron, if he's the GOAT or if he robs Steph Curry of the Olympic MVP. So, it was really interesting that the best game and the most competitive game of the weekend wasn't talked about very much. The women fought hard, they got physically beat up, and they had to play uphill the entire game against France. I was at the edge of my seat watching as it was just like a one possession game the entire game. Let's hear Brian Windhorst and his coverage on Team USA versus France.
USA women were in serious trouble. Those are not words that you've heard spoken very often over the last 30 years, but it was absolutely the case on Sunday. Playing on French soil and struggling with the French pressure defense, the Americans uncharacteristically looked out of sorts. In the third quarter, they found themselves down 10 points and their 60-game winning streak in the Olympics seriously in jeopardy. That's when they made their comeback. Asia Wilson did the scoring. Kelsey Plum came off the bench and did the playmaking. Kalia Copper provided the clutch moments. In the end, Gabby Williams' shot at the buzzer was 1 inch too close, and Team USA felt jubilation. But more than anything else, they felt relief.
Well, my reaction to Wendy is that his thoughts are very simple. Women's Team USA played their worst game of the entire Olympics. And not just because France was just that good, they almost choked the game away. They couldn't buy a shot from anywhere on the floor, whether it was a high percentage shot or behind the arc. They couldn't even make simple layups. They were crumbling under pressure defense from France, and it was an extremely physical game. The amount of times Asia Wilson was on the floor, anyone in the men's league would have just been out of the game from being injured, from being hit that many times. She took a lot of hard hits for Team USA and really put her body on the line for rebounds and finishing as strong as she could at the rim. To say that Team USA was in trouble was an understatement. They needed to win in spite of poor coaching decisions in the first half and their inability to hit shots. Cheryl Reeve and Asia Wilson, they responded after the game and they both shared their thoughts on the final moments of the game. So let's hear what they have to say.
I'd forgotten internationally the clock doesn't stop on a made shot. So I thought we might have had still more time. We had to inbound the basketball, but certainly thankful that it wasn't a three. To be very honest with you, we botched our transition. We didn't get to their best 3-point shooter down three. We were going to foul them, and so we were going to get matched and foul in the backcourt. And play that out. And we didn't guard Johannes. But she came up the floor and then passed to Gabby. And as soon as she dribbled inside the three, Stewie knew to let that go.
When the buzzer went off and the backboard turned red, I was like, oh my God, it was a 2. And then it hit me. I was like, wait, no, we won. And so it was just a surreal moment, but it was just I love the environment. I love the atmosphere. Paris was great. Just having a lot of fun. We battled, we faced some adversity, but we came out on top and kept the main thing. Yeah.
You have it. So Cheryl Reeve, she sounds like an idiot in this soundbite. She forgot what happens in international play and that the clock keeps running after a made basket. I don't even believe her. Is she kidding me? This is the final, the gold medal round. You forgot? It's just a foolish statement to make, even if it is true, even if you did forget. Don't say that. You sound dumb. You sound like you don't belong. You sound like Dawn Staley needs to come back and coach this team for the next Olympics. It's just a foolish statement to make. What I will say about Reeve is that she had the courage to bench Diana Taurasi for the entire game after starting her and giving her meaningful minutes in every other game in the series. If she was on the floor, there's no way she would have been able to guard anyone on the French team. They had amazing footwork and speed. This is a team that had 4 WNBA players on it and women that could pull up from the logo and hit a timely shot. And that's exactly what we saw. The pressure defense all the way up the court, it was amazing. There were moments where Team USA looked like they couldn't handle it, but the resilience they showed throughout the game was amazing. Jackie Young put it all on the floor. She was fouled out in the game with under 3 minutes left to play. For me, I would say the best moment in the game was when Reeve decided to put Copper on the floor and make magic happen. She made stops. She bullied her way into the lane, attacking the rim. She looked unguardable out there and unstoppable. She was the perfect complement to Asia Wilson in the paint. She proved that she is the one. Okay. She proved that she is one of the best players in the league. She was the one for Team USA. She was the X factor. I thought that Rebecca Lobo had a lot of great observations of the game, and I want to explore this with you guys. So let's listen to this.
Team USA claims the goal, Rebecca, but the French, they're known for their defense. They pushed them to the limit. I mean, this was a slugfest throughout. What stood out about the Americans' issues against the French to you today?
Well, first, Jay, I'm exhausted from watching this game. I don't know how many people expected it to be this close throughout. I think there was a little bit of nerves in this game, and France did an outstanding job of controlling tempo, controlling pace. They wanted this to be a low-scoring game. The U.S. turned the ball over a ton. I think they had 16 alone in that first half. They missed layups that we're unaccustomed to seeing. It just was not a fluid offensive machine like this U.S. team can be when they're at their best. I think they only had one transition bucket the entire game. It came in the second half. Asia Wilson got out for an easy 2. So this was a little bit of a slugfest between these two teams. But ultimately, in the second half in particular, a couple of guards, Kalia Copper, Kelsey Plum, off of the bench really helped the U.S. team in their scoring punch to complement what Asia Wilson was doing inside.
At one point, I don't know how they finished. France was 0 for 9 from 3 in the fourth quarter. What did you see from the American team that put France on their heels and kind of contributed to that horrific shooting percentage?
The U.S. didn't shoot much better. I think they only made 2 threes in the entire game. Kelsey Plum hitting those in a stretch in the third quarter. This was a really physical battle. France got called for a lot of fouls in the first half. That's one of the reasons that the score was tied, even as poorly as the U.S. was shooting, is that they were able to get to the free throw line and manufacture points there. But kind of what you would expect from this French team and the U.S. as well. It became a really physical game. All scoring was hard to come by, but ultimately a few plays here and there, and in particular in the fourth quarter, when the U.S. with under a minute to go really needed a bucket, they ran a beautiful play where Brianna Stewart got the ball on the right elbow, fake handoff or handoff to Kalia Copper, and her speed was too much, and she was able to contribute that. So, just small, impactful moments as they happen in a low-scoring game where every point you score is going to be important.
Rebecca Lobo, I think she did a really great job breaking down the game. It was the best breakdown that I had heard. She emphasized their defense and how they controlled the pace. France forced a lot of turnovers and pushed Team USA to settle for bad shots. That's what I saw. It was the settling for bad shots that really had me concerned throughout the whole game. They just couldn't hit any shots. We have to give France their credit, though. Gabby Williams was amazing. Badame, if I'm pronouncing her name correctly. Fatou, creating her own shot, shooting from logo, in game, during a critical moment. I mean, just they had a lot of really great game-changing moments. They came up big. They played very well. But Team USA is the better team. That's not even in question. They just played their very worst game ever. She discussed Kalia Copper, who came up super big for their team in the second half. Cheryl Reeves didn't play her enough throughout the Olympics, in my opinion. She is an absolute dog. She was the difference maker in the X Factor in this final. And without her, the women bring home a silver medal. And they suffer their first upset in over 30 years since they lost in 1992. Real quick, I do want to grade each player on Team USA's roster based on their performance throughout the series. Okay. So to kick this off, we'll just start with Diana Taurasi. She's a 6-time gold medalist at this point. She's amazing still, even at 42 years old, still playing. And I'm going to go ahead and give her a grade of C. And C is for captain in this case. She wasn't very impactful as a starter. She barely scored, couldn't defend anyone. Watching her against Japan, I instantly knew that the game was too fast for her. Now, that doesn't mean I would have replaced her with Caitlin Clark, but she gets a C for captain since her play didn't impact the team. But she was clearly a leadership voice in the locker room and even on the bench, keeping the second unit engaged and motivated, and most importantly, ready for when their number is called. So I do think her place on the team as the elder stateswoman that rallied the team as a leader, I think that she did a good job in that. But the fact remains that she was unplayable in the final game. From a talent perspective, she probably didn't belong on this team because she really didn't add much on the floor in any game. But congrats to DT on her 6th gold medal. What an amazing accomplishment. So congratulations to Diana Taurasi. Next up, we have Jewel Lloyd. I'll give her a C+ because she was also unplayable in the final game. She didn't get 1 minute. She was just out there warming the bench. She's an incredible scorer, but a liability on defense. Reeve couldn't put a prolific scorer like her in the game because it just wouldn't have helped against France. I'm also not sure she could have handled the pressure defense that France displayed. So for Jewel, I'm going to go ahead and give her a C+. She didn't impact the final game, and I really just can't give her higher than that. Chelsea Gray, also a C. And this is just based on her play. She often started, and Reeve was insistent on starting her in most games, even though she has lost a step and looks out of shape. We know she was coming off injury. We know that she's referred to as the point god. But she reminded me of Chris Paul at times. And yes, she moved. She put in effort. Okay? But maybe she should have been left off the team as well. She was slow on offense and defense. She bricked almost every shot she took. They were either short or they didn't have a prayer of going in. She did not score or shoot the ball well. I thought she had bad shot selection in many cases, but I thought she made amazing passes in a lot of moments. She did have 13 assists against Japan. She was also able to use her big body to take hits during full court press. And I don't think she got enough credit for that. Other point guards would have folded for sure. So I'm going to give her a C because we were able to use her body to get up the floor. We were able to use her to take some hits, and she did assist the ball very well throughout the Olympic series. Next up is Kelsey Plum. She played very well off the bench throughout the entire series of games. She hit timely shots, came up big on both sides of the floor, playing amazing defense. She looked like the WNBA champion that she is, and there was never a moment where she wasn't playing her game and putting it all on the floor. I'm giving Plum an A for her efficiency in offense and her pressure defense and ability to hold her opponents to very little scoring. So for me, Kelsey Plum is an A. She not only handled her role very well, but she was probably one of the best guards that Team USA had, and she should have been starting. Next up, Sabrina Ionescu. I'm going to go ahead and give her an A-. She facilitated Team USA and would often, when she facilitated, they would go on runs. She was great on both sides of the floor. She hit threes throughout the Olympic series. She was a difference maker. I don't think Reeves played her enough, and it was a mistake on her part. Sabrina came up big off the bench, and I'm not sure she gets enough credit for her play. I think that her scoring was rather quiet, and I'm not sure that Reeves utilized her in the best way. She did have some really great game-changing moments. She got stops. She went on runs. So Sabrina Ionescu, for me, she could have gone, A minus. But for me, I landed on A minus just because I don't feel that she steered. I don't feel that she was leading the team. I feel like she was taken out of her game at times, but she played well. So I'll give her an A minus. Nafessa Collier, I would give her a B minus. She turned the ball over quite a bit. And Reeves was like an invested soccer mom trying to stay loyal to her player by consistently playing her, even though she looked pedestrian in certain moments. Collier hit timely shots. She had some great stops as well. Her extreme athleticism also allowed her to catch very difficult inbound passes. In one of the sequences at the end of the game versus France, she caught an inbound pass where her body looked like it stretched to the ceiling of the arena to catch the damn ball. I was extremely impressed with her, and I think that that's what saves her a lot of time in her game is her incredible athletic body. She's got like basically the perfect body for a WNBA player, for a professional basketball player, an athlete just in general. She's got the kind of physicality that is transferable to other sports. She could play soccer, she can play whatever she wants. But I'm going to go with B minus. She just didn't look like herself in many games. And Reeve was insistent on playing her and starting her and just giving her so many meaningful minutes when I just thought that at times she should have been benched. Next up, Alyssa Thomas. C plus. She was just slow on defense. I was always scared when Reeve put her on the floor because she's a turnover machine as well. Yes, she's strong and can make good passes at times, and she can find her teammates, but I just didn't think she should be getting any playing time against France, especially not in the critical moments of the game. I would have put her on the bench as well. Next up, Brittany Griner, also a C plus. She looked middle-aged out there. Like she aged about 20 years in the last from between the last Olympics in Tokyo to now. She seemed like she needs to retire and pack it up. What made me mad about Griner is that she oftentimes looks like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in the paint. It looks like she does these incredible skyhook shots that's just unguardable, and oftentimes it is. But she's so old and she's so slow. She's a complete liability on defense, and opponents oftentimes are able to exploit the mismatch. And as soon as she goes in the game, teams will just play the perimeter to draw her out. Once forced to guard the perimeter, she either couldn't get there quick enough or left the low post open for a drive or for opponents to cut to the rim. She cannot guard the perimeter to save her life, and it looks as if her feet don't even move anymore. C plus at best. That's probably generous for Brittany Griner, who was also, mind you, by the way, she was unplayable in the second half. Next up, Jackie Young, A minus. And I went back and forth on this grade in particular because she was electric throughout multiple games on both sides of the floor. She was tough on defense and very strong. She was incredible behind the arc against Germany or Belgium with 3-point shots and mid-range shooting. And she never loses her steam on defense. I love her game. And she looks like a champion and she plays like one. She also, she's just always up for the defensive assignment. And she plays great basketball. The only reason why I give her an A minus is because she fouled out in the final. She fouled out with under 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and it could have cost Team USA the win. And I felt hyper concerned when she had to be off the floor due to fouling out. Hyper concerned. Next up is Breanna Stewart. I'm also going to roll with an A minus for her. And I was torn about it because she just played so well throughout the series, damn near averaging a double-double. Her and Asia Wilson were just a great duo. They played well. They had some iconic moments on the floor, and it was great to watch. But in the final game, France made her look very pedestrian. She almost looked like a decoy on the floor at times. She looked exhausted, beat up, and demoralized by France. She missed so many shots from mid-range, from three, and layups that she would normally make. This was the worst game she played. And that's why I dropped her to an A-, because this is the only game she didn't play well. So A- for Stewie. Sorry I had to do it, but definitely an A-. Now, we're getting to the good stuff. A'ja Wilson. I give her an A++. Every game she put it all on the floor, including her body, not just her effort. Against France, she took hard hits while battling her way to the rim. I applaud her toughness. She was tougher than what we see in the men's game. She was a force. No one could stop her. No matter how hard they tried. If she didn't get the bucket, she went to the line. And she didn't get a lot of calls, and they were beating her up, and she continued. She didn't let that deflate her. She didn't cry about it. She kept going. She kept bodying her way into the paint. She kept battling it out for rebounds. A'ja Wilson is by far the best player in the world. She is incredible. A++. I cannot stress it enough. Kahleah Copper. Again, she is a dog. She showed up big anytime she was put in the game. She forced the defense to respect her by hitting timely shots, driving to the basket with authority. And I do have one more soundbite that I need to play for you guys, and we'll end the stream here after this because it's very fitting. A'ja Wilson was obviously the Olympic MVP, and she was given that award. And it was a foregone conclusion throughout the series that she was going to win it. But when asked about Copper after the game and after they received their medals, here's what she had to say.
One word for Kahleah Copper today. That bitch.
You heard it. That really says it all, doesn't it? So great job, Team USA. You won it in spite of Clark fans supposedly boycotting and rooting against the team. You won it in spite of poor coaching decisions. But most importantly, you played as a team, working together to win the gold with no ego. I loved every game. Watching the women play, it's a true joy. And I can't wait to continue watching these ladies play in the second half of the WNBA season. Let's go. But thank you all for tuning in tonight. It was so much fun to discuss the women's game. Please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Sports Tea. I really appreciate everyone who has already done it. But let me know in the comments how you would grade the players and what your takes were on the women's team. Have a good night, everyone.